Hi, my name is Alice, and this is my story. It was winter break in 2009. I was staying in an apartment about 15 minutes from the university I attended. I had an internship I needed to stay in town for, and while all my roommates went home to be with their families, I was left alone. Honestly, I didn't mind it. I liked the peace and quiet. It gave me time to focus on my work without any distractions. Plus, flights back home were ridiculously expensive. Staying in town seemed like the better choice. The first 2 weeks were pretty uneventful. I spent my days working, binge watching TV shows, and enjoying the empty apartment. But after a while, that peaceful calm started to feel a bit too lonely. As the silence stretched on, I started to notice small sounds I hadn't before. The creak of the old pipes, the gentle hum of the heater, and the occasional knock of the wind against the windows. Things felt normal until they didn't. Back at the start of the semester, my friends and I met this guy who lived in the building across from us. His name was Ryan. At first, we didn't think much of him, but there was always something a little off about him. He'd go out of his way to talk to us whenever we were heading out to the parking lot or hanging out on the steps outside our apartment building. He was always a little too eager to strike up conversations. One time, while we were all talking, he nervously asked for my phone number. I didn't feel comfortable giving it to him, so instead I gave him my Instagram handle. It felt like the safer option. That decision would come back to haunt me. At first, his messages were harmless. He'd DM me every now and then, asking how things were going, or if I'd be on campus that day. Harmless, but it still felt off. Something about his overfamiliar tone made me uncomfortable. Then, the messages got weirder. He sent me photos of my apartment. Pictures taken from across the street with captions like, "So you come home earlier," or "Your lights look nice tonight." That's when I started regretting ever giving him my Instagram. He was watching me, but I brushed it off, thinking maybe he was just trying to be friendly in a weird, awkward way. One day, he took a picture of my car, parked right outside the building, and sent it to me with the message, "Are you home alone?" That gave me chills. I stopped responding to him after that, hoping he'd take the hint and leave me alone. But Ryan didn't take the hint. In fact, his messages became more frequent as the days went by. I'd receive DMs from him at all hours. Random pictures, some of them just black screens with messages saying things like, "I'm just walking by your place," or "Late night walk, couldn't sleep." It was unnerving, but I tried to ignore it. He wasn't exactly doing anything illegal. Yet, one night, I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone, trying to unwind after a long day of work. That's when I got another DM from Ryan. This time, it wasn't one of his usual random pictures. It was a direct message that read, "I know you're home alone." My stomach dropped. How did he know? My roommates had been gone for weeks and I hadn't seen Ryan in days. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was just guessing. Maybe he knew it was winter break and assumed my roommates were gone. Still, the uneasy feeling wouldn't leave me. I double-checked the locks on the doors and windows, drew the curtains shut, and crawled back into bed. I didn't respond to the message. I told myself he was just trying to mess with me, but I couldn't shake the creeping sensation of being watched. A few nights later, I was woken up by a ping from my phone. Confused, I checked the time. It was 3 a.m. I picked up my phone and saw another DM from Ryan. It was a video message. My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. The video was short, maybe only a few seconds long, but it showed a clip of my apartment building, filmed from the parking lot. The timestamp showed that it had been taken just minutes ago. My heart raced as I scrambled to the window and peeked out, but the parking lot was empty. No sign of Ryan or anyone else. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I quickly typed a message, "Where are you?" But before I could hit send, I heard it, a faint buzzing sound coming from the living room. I froze. The buzzing continued. Quietly, I slid out of bed and tiptoed toward the living room, my heart pounding in my ears. The sound was coming from under the couch. I slowly bent down and lifted the edge of the couch cover. There, lying in the dark, was a phone. It wasn't mine. My pulse quickened. How did a phone I didn't recognize end up in my apartment? Panicking, I grabbed it and rushed back to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. I opened Instagram and sent Ryan a message, "Why are you doing this?" Where are you? Seconds later, his Bitmoji appeared in the chat. He was typing. My stomach twisted in knots as I waited for his response. But then he stopped. No reply. Suddenly, another message popped up. It was just one word, "Look" attached to. It was a picture of my bedroom door. From the hallway, my breath caught in my throat. I dropped the phone, too terrified to move. I stood there, frozen, as the doorknob slowly started to turn. My heart felt like it was going to explode out of my chest. I backed up against the wall, clutching a nearby lamp, ready to defend myself. The door creaked open, and there he was, Ryan. Standing in the doorway, his eyes wide and unblinking. "Why didn't you answer me?" he whispered, stepping closer. I screamed, throwing the lamp at him with all my strength. He ducked, but the lamp shattered against the wall, giving me just enough time to sprint past him. I bolted down the stairs, my bare feet slapping against the cold floor, and dashed out into the freezing night without looking back. I didn't stop running until I reached the gas station at the end of the street. Breathless and shaking, I burst through the doors and frantically told the cashier what had happened. He called the police for me. They arrived quickly, but by the time they got to my apartment, Ryan was gone. They searched the place and found his phone, hidden under the couch where I discovered it. But Ryan had disappeared. For the next few weeks, I couldn't bring myself to stay in that apartment alone. I crashed at a friend's place, too scared to return to the place where Ryan had invaded my personal space. When my roommates came back from break, we all agreed to move out as soon as we could. We broke the lease and found a new place on the other side of town. I never saw Ryan again, and I have no idea what happened to him after that night. I deleted my Instagram account, terrified that he might still be lurking somewhere out there. But the memory of him standing in my bedroom, watching me, has never left me. Even now, I struggle to feel safe living alone. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, convinced I hear the soft creak of a doorknob turning, and I wonder, will Ryan come back?